All right, YouTube, an English MP has unfortunately been murdered, but before she even passed away, before the blood was even dry, she was stabbed and then shot, apparently. Those in Britain who support remaining in the European Union were already attempting to politicize the issue, saying that this was a horrible, bigoted, evil nationalist that was chanting Britain first, which, by the way, appears not to have actually happened. A couple of witnesses said that he said no such thing. A couple of the people who knew this individual said he had no political affiliations. Now we find out, of course, he was apparently mentally ill, just fucking deranged. Now, my first question had nothing to do with the political ramifications of the shooting of this MP, who, by the way, was a Remain campaigner. My first question is, how was she shot in the first place? And supposedly the UK has very stringent gun-related regulations, and people don't really have firearms there. How was she shot? I thought shootings only happened in the horrible, evil, gun-friendly, bigoted, ass-backwards, white Bible land of the United States. I keep hearing Europeans literally trying to troll me, as though I was the average fucking American. I mean, one look at me, I think you'll think differently. They keep saying, oh, well, you never learn on guns. You never learn. You fucking people carry around assault rifles all day. Yeah, they do. And generally it works just fine. Here in my home state, crime is very, very low and guns are absolutely everywhere. We're one of the most gun-friendly states, one of the most low-crime states. But you wouldn't know that, of course, because it would be inconvenient to those who want to manipulate you. Much like the Remain campaigners are now attempting to manipulate the British public by trying to convince them in the news cycle that this had something to do with the Brexit vote. And it clearly doesn't. It's quite clear from the other side of the pond that they are simply using this for political leverage, and shame on them. It's exactly like Obama saying that some fucking retarded religious zealot killing a bunch of gay people is the fault of the National Rifle Association. Well, imagine that. No, it's not. It has nothing to do with the NRA. It has nothing to do with gun rights. There was a mass stabbing in China a couple of years ago that killed 29 people. No guns necessary. No guns need apply. No gun owners need apply. Where were these same people talking about violence then? Why don't these people talk about fucking Obama sending guns to cartels in Mexico or Islamic militants in Syria? No, the Orlando shooter was just a fucktarded religious zealot asshole, and this individual over in Britain had no political motivation whatsoever and was just fucking crazy. Because you get crazy people. I hate to say it, but even banning guns does nothing. Even if you outright ban them, people will just make explosives. They'll do Timmy McVeigh mode. They'll make a fertilizer bomb. They'll use a knife. They'll do something else. They'll make some IEDs or some booby traps or something. Then go out, commit some petty crime, go home, wait while the police march up, and unleash their traps on the police. It happens, folks. We live in a world where there are people who are unstable. There are people who are violent. It doesn't really ultimately matter what kind of weapon they use. And in this case, it's even worse. Because not only do you have people trying to politicize the death, you have people trying to politicize the death within minutes, before this person has even died. She was in critical condition. She went to the hospital. Unfortunately, she died of her injuries. She was shot and stabbed. Before she even passed away, it wasn't like in Orlando, where a bunch of people were already dead, and the next day Obama comes out and says, oh, we need more gun control. Fuck Obama, but, at least he waited a couple hours. In this case, they didn't wait. They took right to Twitter and said, oh, these horrible nationalists trying to get us out of the EU. They're violent, they're horrible, racist, bigot, piece of shit, oppressors, and they start fucking crying their crocodile tears. Meanwhile, inside they're cheering because they think that this will swing the vote in their direction, in their favor. And that's exactly what these retards want. They will politicize this to no end, even though the same things they were chanting a few hours ago have been utterly, completely discredited. You think they'll retract? Or if you think they do you think they'll issue it on the front page? Do you think that these people come out and publicly apologize for attempting to manipulate the public? No, of course not. They'll pretend, oh, well, we just heard the same news that you heard. Let it lodge in your minds that this was some horrible nationalist. No, it wasn't. It was someone who was fucking psychotic. Yeah, psychotic people occasionally attack others. Doesn't matter. I know in Britain, you can't even really have a fucking knife. It's really weird for a country that not that long ago guaranteed citizens the right to carry swords on them at all times. This is a very disarmed country. I'm wondering how this person got a gun in the first place if he was supposedly mentally ill. I suppose the answer is as long as you're a religious minority or mentally ill, you can get a gun. If you're a criminal, you can get a gun. Otherwise, you can't have one. Just another reason to get rid of the fucking EU, which is going to push more of these weapons controls off on the collective populations of Europe. You think they're not going to do that? They've already pushed for the creation of a European army. You think that they won't crack down on weapons? To all the Polish, the Hungarians, those in countries that still have, at least in some ways, people who own firearms privately. You think they won't come for them? You think that won't happen? Of course it will. You'd better vote to leave as soon as the UK's Brexit is done. I encourage everyone in every EU state, vote to leave. Get rid of this abomination. It's retarded. It's not going to work. It's not working now. And for them to take this MP, Joe Cox, and say, oh, well, she's dead, or she's not even dead already. It was nationalists. It was people who want to leave the EU. They're responsible. No, they weren't. They weren't there. This was some crazy dude who shot her. It's like in Orlando. I don't give a fuck that it wasn't a member of ISIS. This was a person who publicly pledged support to Baghdadi and said, oh, I love ISIS. I'm going to go kill these fucking gay people here, these horrible sodomites. And the media, predictably, I predicted this already myself. What did they do? Oh, he was actually gay himself. He was using a gay dating app. He was at this club before. He must have been a homosexual. No, he wasn't. No, he wasn't. I don't care what the FBI says. I don't care what Obama says. I don't care what MSNBC says. He wasn't gay. Not in any way, shape, or form. No, you know what he was? He was casing the joint. Said it before. Didn't I predict that they would try to spin it that way? That they would tell you, oh, this was a disgruntled gay individual trying to kill other gays because he got jilted. No, he wasn't. He was a religious fucking lunatic. And his father, who apparently pretended to be the president of Afghanistan in some sort of YouTube video or something, he's willing to go along with that lie for Obama and all the others. I'm sure they already had a little conversation. He said, oh, just play along. Here's a kickback. Here's some opium or something. That's the way that things happen. This world is filled with corruption and stupidity. So yeah, Joe Cox was murdered. You should be mourning that, not trying to politicize it. UK can't use the gun control argument because it's already got all the gun control you could possibly have, and then some. So they instead they try to turn it into it's an evil white nationalist fucking racist leave campaigner. No, it wasn't. It was someone who is off their rocker. It's more, if somebody's crazy, it's more likely that they want to stay in the EU because he'd have to be crazy to want to stay in. Did you ever think of that for a moment? Most of you probably not. Unfortunately, a lot of people who have already read these Twitters and read the news and so forth, it's already been lodged in their minds, oh, this was an evil nationalist, probably BNP member, maybe a UKIPper or something. It wasn't, but unfortunately, now they will remember that lie and take it as truth for the rest of their lives until they're rotting in the grave alongside Joe Cox. It's rather sad. That's about all. Peace out.